Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and we are now back with part 2 of this 25 question book tag. It's probably going to be just as long as part 1. Excuse the no makeup, messy hair. Look, I promise I look a lot cuter in just a minute here in this video when I was like all dressed and ready and filming, but this is editing me. So welcome to part 2 of the 25 question reading book tag thing.
Oh God. All right. Grab a snack. We're going to talk about favorite movies and TV shows. And, there's a lot. So we're going to start with TV shows. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Huge fan. I named my daughter after my favorite character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So if you know my daughter's name, you know who my favorite Buffy the Vampire Slayer character is. I just loved it so much. And then, of course, the spinoff, I loved Angel and Charmed and Supernatural. Supernatural is a favorite of mine as well. I actually went to a Supernatural convention in 2016 when I was pregnant with my son with some friends, and y'all, it was so much fun. We got to see the panels with Jared and Jensen and Misha Collins, and I got to do the photo ops with Misha and Mark Shepard, who plays Crowley, and it was just such a good time. My husband bought me a 67 four-door Impala for my birthday one year. It's a rest bucket trash heap right now, but it's a project, and I cried because I was like, that is the one vehicle I've always wanted, so it's kind of the benefit of marrying a car guy. Even though he's like, ugh, this is strange. And I'm like, no, I want it. And he got it for me. So I'm now the proud owner of a Impala that looks nothing like the one on the show at the moment. But it will. And I will be driving it at some point before I die because, it's a big old project. So those are some of my favorite shows. Modern, now. I don't watch a whole lot of shows now. But I really like Umbrella Academy. And I really need to watch The Witcher. I think I'll like it, but I haven't seen it yet. And there's a lot, okay? There's a lot. And then crime dramas. I used to love crime dramas. I still do. Criminal Minds and The Mentalist and Bones. I have watched Bones on repeat so many times. I have seen every episode of Bones multiple times. I love it. And for movies, I don't rewatch movies often, so I know if I rewatch it, that it's probably a favorite. So Across the Universe is a musical with Beatles music, and if you haven't seen it, do. It's fantastic. One of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I also really love Beatles music, so kind of explains that, but I love Across the Universe. It's so pretty. If you haven't seen it, you need to. I also really, I love the Marvel movies, but like I said, I'm not really a big rewatcher. The Matrix movies, really anything with Keanu Reeves, John Wick, I love. But there's some movies that are more, poignant in my childhood, Overboard with, oh my gosh, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I used to watch Overboard with my stepmom just all the time. We would watch that together. It was our thing. And it's not the best movie, but y'all, it's got nostalgic feels for me. So I love it. And I love Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. And yeah, I love I just really like movies. I don't like a lot of rom-coms. I don't do a lot of romance, things like that. The Notebook, not really my thing. I like when stuff blows up, and then I like to laugh. So, Will Ferrell movies. I have been known to quote Ricky Bobby and Step Brothers, especially at work, probably way more often than I should. Way more often than is appropriate. We'll go into a meeting and I'll go up to my friend and shake and bake. And it's probably terrible and cringy, and I still love it. Sometimes I just want a stupid, funny movie to laugh at, and sometimes I want to just enjoy shit blowing up, like old Arnold movies. And Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Fun fact, I almost named my daughter Ripley because I love the Alien movies. And when you're pregnant and things move inside of you, it felt very much like a chest burster situation. I was like, I'm gonna name her Ripley. We didn't. But my son, if he would have been a girl, I'd have probably named him Ripley. Because why not? Describe yourself using 3 fictional characters. I don't know. 3 fictional characters. There's definitely, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Misaki from Sword of Kaigen. And not in the way that, like, I'm gonna fight you with a sword, but in the way that she was kind of a reluctant mother and she had to give up part of her past life to have this new life as a wife and mom, and that she at one point was like kind of struggling with that. And I think that's something that a lot of us go through as mothers, is kind of looking back on our past life with rose-colored glasses and missing it and missing being, you know, Jessie as opposed to being mom. And it's something I feel like every mom goes through. I don't know, just, you know, some that I have talked to. So we're going to go with Misaki. And then, oh God, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't typically think I see myself in a lot of fictional characters. Like, I'll see aspects of my personality. Funny enough, I've been reading Rhythm of War, and the one I relate to the most is Syl, because we got an interlude from Syl the Spren, and I was like, dude, that's me! That's my mind! So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with Syl from the Stormlight Archives. And one more, a 3rd fictional character. Like, it doesn't have to be a book, but like, I'm trying to think of a movie, something. I can't think of a 3rd one, y'all, at all. John Wick, maybe? Not that I'm a badass fighter, but like, I'm gonna burn the ground down. Burn the world down. Somebody comes and takes my puppy or my kids. So John Wick, for that reason alone, because sure, we're gonna burn the world down if somebody comes and takes my dog and or children. What was your dream job? Oh, I changed my mind so many times growing up. At one point, I wanted to be Steve Irwin. Not like, yeah, I wanted to be like Steve Irwin. Like, I wanted to work with wild animals in rescue and rehabilitation, re-release. Like, I wanted to do that. And then, you know, as I got a little older, I still wanted to do that, but I wanted to specialize in marine biology and work with the ocean animals. And I got, you know, certified in scuba diving. And I wanted to work at, like, SeaWorld, but not, like, in the shows and, like, in the front end, but I wanted to work with their rescue team. And I did a summer camp at SeaWorld where I got to go behind the scenes and work with the rescue teams and things like that. That was so much fun. Such a cool experience. And then I kind of grew out of that. And then I wanted to, at one point, be a writer, which I feel like everybody wants to be a writer at some point. I used to write short stories and poems, and they were all terrible. Apparently, I won a competition in, like, the 4th grade or something. But I always liked writing, but I don't think I want to do it as, like, a profession. But at one point, and then I wanted to be Jack McCoy. So I watched a lot of Law and Order, and I wanted to be a prosecutor, specifically. I wanted to work for the prosecution. So that's kind of what got me interested in law. And like I said, I got my degrees. I got a bachelor's and I got a master's. I planned on going on to law school. I volunteered for the Guardian Ad Litem program and thought that that would be a really cool experience to work as an attorney for the Guardian Ad Litem program. As I said earlier in this video, my legal career did not work out, but I now work in social media marketing, which kind of puts a lot of those skills, other than the wildlife rehabilitation, to good use, because I have to be able to write, and I have to be able to write compellingly. And I, you know, have to know some of the legal standards around marketing and advertising. So I have put all of my desires to use. If I could go back, I probably would go back and do the wildlife rescue, because that just is the one that still kind of speaks to me. If magic was real, what spell would you learn first? Is there a spell to make my children not fight with each other and, like, clean up their room when I ask them to? Because that would be a nice one to have. That would be a nice spell. Like, okay, Bibbidi bobbidi, clean your room. Like that might be the first spell that I learned. Or like something where I could like swish and flick and my whole house would be clean. And I wouldn't have to actually do that because that would be fantastic and super practical, right? Like it would save me so much time in life if I could just bibbidi bobbidi clean my house. Or teleport. I know Alan talked about this one too. He talked about teleportation, and I think teleportation would be fantastic. I don't like sitting in traffic, and I want to be able to go places, and traveling takes forever and is expensive, and teleportation would be quick and cheap. As long as I could teleport people with me, right? Like as long as it could be like you hold hands and like you could teleport others with you. I think flying would also be fun. I think flying would be more fun than teleportation, but teleportation would be more practical than flying. But I still want to bibbidi bobbidi clean my house. Share a favorite childhood memory. Well, there's a few. I had a great childhood. I told you a little bit about, like, I got scuba certified. That was fantastic. And our final test dive was in West Palm, and going in saltwater for the first time as a diver and going down and seeing everything. It's like a whole new world down there. That is something I'll never forget. Also, my summer camp that I spent at SeaWorld was really, really fantastic. My mom was, single mom for most of my childhood, my young childhood, and we would go to Disney a lot and theme parks. And I remember her taking me places and making that effort to travel with me and go see different things, even if it is, Disney or Busch Gardens or whatever it was, and up into North Carolina. So I have so many good childhood memories. And a lot of them are also like, big family get-togethers we'd have either at my dad's house in the woods or at my mom's cousin's house at the lake. And we'd spend time on the boats and we would, tube. So like, I don't know if you're not from Florida or somewhere that does tubing. You take a big tube and you tie it behind your boat and then the boat goes and there's people on the tube and the person on the boat is trying to like throw you off. Which I don't know if that's everybody, but like that was my family. Like the thrill was trying to throw the kids off of the tube into the water. I also was a competitive swimmer, so I have a lot of great memories from that. And honestly, like my whole childhood is like one big great memory. Of course, there were bad things that happened, but I try not to dwell on those and just remember all the good times. And I had a really great family. So anything involving family and my parents, and that was just good times. Oh, this one's great. What is your favorite social media platform and why? None of them. Probably none of them. And this is like, there's different ways to look at it. Are we talking about as a marketer, like my job-wise? None of them. They all suck. Facebook is terrible, especially on the back end. I do ads. I do like Facebook ads and marketing and stuff like that. So I am really deep into Facebook communities as far as like in the back end. I am Facebook certified. I have taken 3 of their certification tests, passed all 3 of them. So I am a Facebook certified marketer and I still hate it. And we talk at the office all the time about Mark Zuckerberg and how he's a lizard man and everything changes all the time. And then clients get mad and like it's a whole debaucherous mess. But my least favorite is probably Twitter. Twitter is like the cesspool of the internet. I am not on it very much unless it's like, here you got a new video and like run away. I really do like Instagram. Instagram though is now owned by Facebook, aka Meta. Did you know that? Facebook changed their name to Meta. So Instagram is probably one that I like more than Facebook because of the visuals. If we're talking about like growth and marketing, I really don't like Instagram because it is very difficult to grow on and market on, and there's super specific things you have to do there. If we're talking about just like sitting and scrolling, I really enjoy TikTok, but I don't like making TikTok videos. Like if we're talking about like posting and what we like creating, not TikTok. But if we're talking about like mindless scrolling for a little bit, I love me some TikTok videos. My top 2 though, if we're going to talk my top 2 favorites are definitely YouTube. I love YouTube. I love long form videos. I like the community. I like the creation of YouTube videos. And Pinterest. Y'all don't think about Pinterest enough. Pinterest is probably my favorite. Look, from multiple aspects. I share my YouTube videos to Pinterest. I share my blog posts to Pinterest. I share all kinds of stuff to Pinterest, and Pinterest builds traffic. If we're talking about getting traffic to your website, getting traffic to your YouTube, Pinterest. Also, from a user standpoint, I love Pinterest because I go on there to find recipes and inspiration, tattoo ideas, things like that. And it's a very visual platform. I don't fully consider it social media. I definitely consider Pinterest more of a search engine. It is more akin to Google than it is to like Twitter or Instagram. But that's a conversation for another day. But I love me some Pinterest. Pinterest is great. And YouTube is great. The next one is, if you could pick any book character to spend a day with, who would it be? Oh. So I don't read a lot of happy stuff. And no one is really happy. Probably just because I've been like binging the Stormlight Archives right now. I think it'd be fun to hang out with Kaladin, but like Kaladin on a good day. Like, I think it'd be fun to hang out with Kaladin on a good day. Like, not when he's having a bad day, but like when Kaladin's having a good day, I'd like to hang out with Kaladin. I think you could learn some stuff from him, and you could fly. You'd be like, hey, you want to wind run me up there, fly me around? So that would be cool. Can I pick one of the dragons from Fireborn? Like, I would love to hang out with, like, not even the characters, just the dragons themselves. And fly on a dragon. So, we're gonna go with the dragons from Fireborn and Flamefall, which is a fantastic series, mind you. I also think it'd be really fun to hang out with, like, Nayleen from the Queens of Renthia series. She's, like, a middle-aged mom of 2. So, it'd be really fun to, like, hang out with her because we have kids, like, her kids in the book are the same age as, like, my kids pretty much. So, it's always fun to hang out with, like, another mom, and you can just, like, let your kids run around and, like, talk and drink coffee and complain about your kids and then talk about how great they are and then complain about them again. But yeah, I think those would be some fun characters to hang out with. And really any animal companion. If we're counting animal companions, I just want the animal companions. Like the Phoenix from Crown of Feathers, or Mephi from Bone Shard Daughter. Like, I just want all the animal companions. Number 20 is, what is your spirit animal? I have no idea. I really like a platypus, though. I don't know why, but I have always loved the platypus. Like, they are so weird and so cute. And I just love them. Like, they've got a duck bill and they've got, like, poisonous barbs, and they've got like the body of a beaver and like this tail, and they're just so weird and so cool at the same time. Like, I love their weirdness, and I just think it's fantastic. I've always been fascinated by them. I also really like any like aquatic animal. I love, weirdly enough, like dolphins and whales are great, but octopi are so entertaining and fascinating. They are so intelligent, and like they are just the coolest marine animals. I love an octopus. I would love to have a pet octopus. I know you cannot do that, like it's not a thing, but like I always wanted a pet like octopus as a kid because I think they're just so cool, and they can squeeze like their whole bodies like into the smallest little crevices and escape, and they're extremely intelligent creatures, and I love an octopus. I have a like octopus lady, Ursula inspired-ish, mermaid-ish tattoo on my rib cage because I like octopus so much. I thought about getting some more like nautical. I might do a nautical leg sleeve with like mermaids and octopus. We'll think about that one, but I really like that. Yeah, anything nautical. The next one is, what old person thing do you do? What old person thing do I not do? I do a lot of parent things, right? I always said I wasn't be the parent that said because I told you so, but when you have some super inquisitive children, when you have super inquisitive children that like ask you the same question 17,000 times in a 5-minute period, sometimes you stop answering and just say, because I said so. Like when you have told them 17 times why they need to go to bed, and they ask again, you're like, because I said so, because it's bedtime. Like, because I said so. I remember hating hearing that as a kid, but as a mom, it makes sense why you say it, because sometimes you just gotta. So a lot of things I find myself saying to my kids are things I look back and I'm like, oh, my mom said that. Like, I'm turning into my mother. So a lot of my old person things are me realizing I'm turning into my mom. Yeah, so I guess as a parent, I do a lot of old person things. I parent. That is an old person thing. Like, I guess there's so much. I don't go to sleep early, though. I wish that was an old person thing that I did, was go to sleep early. I try not to look at, like, the young generation and be like, kids these days, but, you know, sometimes you can't help yourself but be like, oh, man, when I was your age, I have found myself saying that to people, like, to people that are younger than me, like, in their, you know, teenage 20s, and I'm like, when I was your age, oh, God, like, no one wants to hear when I was your age, like, but it's so funny because, you know, these teenagers are going to grow up and be like 30, 40-something-year-olds, and they're going to be like, when I was your age, and it's an endless cycle, because at some point we all become those old people, or we hope to become those old people, right? Like, that's kind of the goal. The next one is, do you have a hidden talent? Maybe? Maybe I haven't discovered it yet. I can write some mean SEO-friendly content for websites and social media, which isn't really a hidden talent. I can also talk to pretty much anybody. Is that a hidden talent? Like, I can talk to anyone. Despite if we believe the same or not, think the same or not, have the same values, I can talk to anybody. Because one thing that I did in, I think, like, high school and college is I took debate classes, and one thing that I really enjoyed about that was I enjoyed that our teacher would be like, okay, what are your personal opinions on this topic? We'd have to tell her what that was. And then they would make us argue with the opposing side. So you always had to learn to make valid arguments for both sides, no matter what you believed. And that was something that always really stuck with me, was being able to see multiple sides of a situation, because I was forced so many times in debate classes to debate an issue on something that I actually didn't personally believe in, but I learned to see that opposing side and why they believed the way they did. So I think that is one of my hidden talents, is I can talk to anybody, and I can devil's advocate most conversations. I can be like, well, devil's advocate, you could, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can see why they can see that, because they think this way, even though this, and it's like a whole thing. But that might be a hidden talent. I don't know. I also cook. I cannot bake very well, because baking and cooking are two completely different things. I can cook really well, but when I cook, I don't like to use a lot of measurements. I feel from my soul how much garlic needs to go in there, but you can't really do that when you bake, because baking is more of a scientific process, and if you put too much flour, too much baking soda, too little, like, you're gonna ruin everything, right? And when you cook, you can add, and, you know, it's not as, like, scientific. Cooking to me is more art, and baking to me is more scientific, and I cannot wrap my head around baking very well. The next question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? With older kids, with kids that are 5 years older than they are now. We'll be going into what, like, middle school with them at that point, and I will probably be running around to sporting events or robotics competitions or music lessons, which stuff that I'm already doing, but at, like, a larger scale. Hoping that my husband's business has been, like, scaled up significantly by then. We are growing year over year, which has been great. Traveling more. I definitely want to travel more within the next 5 years. We want to pay off all of our debt. So hopefully we will be debt free within 5 years, because that is something that we're working really hard on, probably minus maybe the mortgage and student loans, but everything else, you know, we're really close. Like, that probably won't even take 5 years. Maybe the mortgage in 5 years, have that paid off. That'd be great. Student loans, I'm gonna die with them, because I'm gonna die with those loans unless somebody decides to forgive them. But yeah, hopefully we will be closer to debt-free and older kids and traveling and doing all kinds of fun stuff in 5 years. I also want to get a camper, like an RV, but not a motorhome. Definitely a travel trailer. All right, so this is the last actual question, and it is share an item and tell us its significance. So I am not going to pick an item, but I am going to show you one of my tattoos. Let's see if we can get closer. We're going to do this one. It's so hard to show this one on camera, but it's probably my most personally significant. So it's an hourglass. And you can see up here I have a constellation. Down here I also have a constellation. And in the middle it says, "To infinity and beyond." That is my mother's handwriting. And ever since I was little, Toy Story came out, she has been a big fan. And in all my birthday cards, you know, every time I talk to her on the phone, it's, "I love you from infinity and beyond. I love you to infinity and beyond." And that's just always been our thing. So I wanted to get a tattoo with her handwriting. These are my kids' zodiac constellations. So we have Pisces and Virgo for the boy and the girl. And then, of course, the hourglass, the passing of time. Like, it's, you know, it's kind of spacey. I'm actually going to add more to it. But, you know, everything ends. But when something else ends, you know, there's a new beginning. So it kind of symbolizes like family and, you know, something ending and a new beginning. And it's like the kids are, you know, they're the next generation. And then we've got my mom and the passage of time. So hopefully you can see that well. I am going to add more around the side, but that is my thing. So while it is not a thing, it is a piece of art. But like, you know, I have a couple. I have this. This is actually going to end up being a full sleeve. So this is my owl. Everybody thinks it's a Hedwig owl, which kind of, but my grandmother used to collect owl figurines. She had owl everything, right? Her house in North Carolina, we called it the Owl's Nest. We still have it. It's a big cabin up in North Carolina. I did a vlog where we went and visited it. So I wanted that. And then, of course, we've got the flying books. So it could be, you know, Hedwig, but it was more to represent my grandmother. And then we've got the coffee cup for me, because that represents, you know, me and my coffee mom journey and, you know, becoming who I am. We are going to end up full sleeving this, and it's going to be a full fantasy-inspired watercolor sleeve. I'm not going to show you my back right now, but at some point I will do more tattoo videos, I guess, like show you the rest of them, but those are my kind of significant items that I have to show you. And the last one is just to tag some people. Oh my god, we're at the end. This is the longest video. I said it wasn't going to be that long, but y'all, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who to tag. I'm just gonna tag a bunch of people in the comments or in the description while I'm editing this, because I cannot think of anyone off the top of my head. I don't know who's done it or who hasn't. I would love to see these answers from like everybody because I think it's a really fun tag and a cool way to get to know people a little bit more outside of just like they read sci-fi fantasy. Like, these questions are just really fun. So I had a blast doing this. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you made it to the end of this video, let me know, because I want to know if people actually made it to the end. Leave I don't know. I can't leave emojis because I do everything on the desktop. So like, just say, hey, I made it to the end. Something along those lines. Because I really want to know who made it to the end of this long ass video. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it. And my name is Jessie, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.